this is being video recorded, so just to put that out there. Without further ado, Michael.
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh. I will keep my laws of your uterus. Now, I have to find out first what we want to do here. Do we want to have a discussion, like mature, grown-up university students and people like me, about the issue, or do we just want to demonstrate?
No, you can go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't you sit down? Don't go on forever.
You can sit.
All right. What's it sounding? Good. Don't worry. Sit down. What does this one say? Shame on Coren. Yes, that's good. My God, you must be in a PhD program. What I decided to do, I called two people before I went ahead. It's a long way from trying to drive here. So I spoke to two people before I agreed to do this, apart from the people invited. One was Jack Layton and one was Sid Ryan. And Sid is president of the Ontario Federation of Labour, and Jack Layton is leader of help me. And they're both, in fact, both of them got wonderful blurbs on the back of my book. Jack Layton, I've always enjoyed enthusiastic and intelligent exchanges and explorations with Michael Coren, both on air and on print radio. I called them because I said, Jack and Sid, because that's their name. I said, I've known you for years. You can't hear me?
No.
Okay, I'll use the mic. Hold on. Write another poster while I just do this. Is this on? Is it good? Hold on, let me hang on one. Are you sure you can't hear it at the back? Are you really sure?
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll hold it. So I spoke to Jack and Sid rather than anyone who was politically allied to me, because that would be too easy. And I spoke to them both 2 days ago and I said, do you think I should do this? Because there'll be some protesters, and in the past people have tried to disrupt these, and to be honest, I'd rather be at home watching TV than travel that way to have the speech protested and disrupted. And Jack said, well look, if they do, he said, Michael, I've known you for 10 years and we're friends and we get together as family. If it's disrupted, he said, send the DVD, the recording to me. He said, because whilst I am pro-choice, he said, and I disagree with you, I profoundly respect your right to speak and I think you're a really good guy. The last bit, maybe. And Sid, who was head of QP Ontario, who I've known for even longer, and is now head of the Ontario Federation of Labour, I said, Sid, you can't bother to do this. I mean, you know me well enough. I can't be bothered to go out there if there's just going to be a protest by young, publicly funded radicals. And he said, no, I think you should do it. And he said, look, really, it's the same thing. It's interesting how left-wing leaders have obviously suffered at the hands of authoritarian people who don't want country points of view to be expressed. So Sid said, video it, he said. And I said, well, Jack just said that. And he said, well, great minds think alike. And I said, yeah. And he said, video the thing, and if it's disrupted in any way, not hostile questions, that's terrific. But if it's disrupted, he says, send it to me. So, that's what I'll do. Not only that, I'll also put it on my TV show, and I write about it. So. But I'm sure none of you will do that. You just want to write interesting things like shame. In fact, before we start, can we just have a chant of shame, shame, shame? Shame, 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 shame. I mean, yes, it's just, how do you do? Can someone pin this on me? Because I mean, I can't do this. Oh, hold on. Does that work? Yeah. So that's what I do. I want to tell you how I first... let me tell you a bit about myself first, because most of you have a pretty idea who I am. Or maybe you know who I am. I came to Canada in 1987. I'm from Britain, you may have gathered. And I was speaking at a conference at U of T in 1986 on G.K. Chesterton. Anyone here read G.K. Chesterton? I'm impressed. Those of you who haven't, shame, shame, shame on you, because he's a wonderful writer. And I was invited to a conference at U of T, and I came over. I'd never been to Canada. My dad was here after the war, actually. Came out of the RAF and wandered the world, and I suspect I had siblings all over the place. And I came here, and I was speaking at the conference, and it was a very, very boring lecture. I remember it now. It was G.K. Chesterton, Hilaire Vark, the Marconi scandal, and Edwardian anti-Semitism. You're impressed, aren't you? And at the end of the conference, I read the entire paper. At the end of the conference, a beautiful young woman came up to me and said, "You're amazing." And thinking this may never happen again, I married her. And, true story, but, and that's why I came to Canada. I've been here for 22, 23 years. I was a journalist at the CBC for the first year here. I used to produce documentaries for the CBC. Men used to run away to sea, now they run away to the CBC. And then I worked for the Globe and Mail for 3 years, as a columnist, Financial Post. I was a book reviewer for the Toronto Star, TV Ontario show, and then I went to radio CFRB. And what I do now is I write a syndicated column for Sun Media, which is about 10 papers every Saturday, including sometimes, I think, the Kingston Whig Standard. Does anybody read the Whig in this town anymore? He put his hand up and he put it down very quickly. Yeah, sadly, a lot of these provincial papers are not what they were, the London Free Press. Anyway, it's mainly in the Five Suns, London Free Press, and about 5 or 6 other papers. So that's every Saturday. And I have a TV show called The Michael Coren Show. Yeah, insert your joke there. Every night. And we now have about 250,000 viewers nationally. 250,000 people watch the show. And oddly enough, Kingston is one of the few areas that it isn't on basic cable. I'm not really sure why. There seems to be a great deal of coronaphobia in Kingston. And I say, shame, shame, shame on that. Keep your hands off my television show. And what we do is every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday we have media. We call them media panels. So every Friday we have Sid Ryan on the left, Claire Hoyle on the right, someone in the middle. Mondays, anyway, right, left, and centre, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then various other panels. And I'm very proud of the show. For example, we had an hour just about 3 months ago with Jerry Adams. You know who Jerry Adams is, right? All done. Does anyone know who Jerry Adams is? I'm amazed. You, with the My Body, My Right. Who's Jerry Adams?
No idea.
Have you heard of Sinn Féin?
What?
Have you heard of Sinn Féin?
I think there's a lot of people she's heard.
You haven't heard of Sinn Féin? No. Have you heard of Ireland? Right. Ireland is a country colonized by the British, okay? They've gone to Britain, they've gone to Ireland. You may think it's funny. Actually, you know what? Millions of people have died. It's not really that dramatic. Sinn Féin means ourselves alone. It's a liberation movement. This is real, real struggle. It's a liberation movement of the Irish people. Its militant wing is the IRA. You've heard of the IRA. Now, I'm not a fan of violence. I don't support the IRA. But Jerry Adams is president of Sinn Féin. He's been president for 30-odd years now. He's also, I believe, an IRA leader, but he would never admit that. He was on for an hour. It was a great show. We had Kurt Vestergaard, who was the man, you may not know his name, but he was the man who drew the most infamous cartoon of Muhammad. Do you remember it in Denmark? It led to rioting and international. We had him on for an hour, lots of security when we had him on. So all sorts of people, and Harper, your favourite person, Stephen Harper, Dawn McGinty and Stefan Dion and Ignatieff. I mean, we have most people come on the show. So I do that. I used to do a radio show, but they fired me. And I write columns for various magazines and write books and give speeches and things like that. So that's what I do. And it would be, I was even on CBC's Test the Nation on Sunday night, which was great fun, where they had about 200 people. They tested our IQs. And thank God they didn't declare mine at the end of it, but that was quite enjoyable. It will be much easier for me to never talk about the abortion issue. Because, and I find this really quite significant, there are certain issues in our great, free, liberal democracy known as Canada that you're not supposed to refer to. Almost sacraments of a contemporary secular theology. And one of these is abortion. Now, people are indifferent to the issue. They may be passively pro-choice, passively pro-life, but they've never really studied it or they won't speak about it. Oh, golly, no, please. I mean, no, not that subject. No. I'm far more interested in my rate of taxation than in when life begins. So people are too polite, generally, in Canada to speak about the issue. But in media, if you discuss abortion, you are beyond the pale, which is a term I'll come back to.